Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at my newly built Rekon 6. I have the Binded Fly, designed by Dave C. It is a very great long-range cruiser. Even though I like the Binded Fly version already, in this case I wanted to try something new. And I grabbed the FPV Cycle 21mm motors, 1620 kV, and hope to get a little bit better performance and maybe even a bit more efficiency out of them. I really like the FPV cycle range, and I'm using the 25mm FPV cycles for all my 5.5 inch builds, the AOS 5.5 version 1 and 2. And also I'm using the FPV cycle 30mm for my long range cruiser, the AOS Falcon 7. I really have great experience with FPV cycle, love the design, that kind of Stormtrooper Star Wars look, and in this case for this build I hope it will work out fine as well with the 21mm. Let's take a look at this build right after the intro. The weather conditions for the maiden flight were really not the greatest, and I had to camp out in the car a little bit until I could find a hole in the clouds to get it up in the air. But before we are doing that, let's take a look at this build, what went in there and what was my choice of parts. Will it be better in the end than the original Rekon 6? Well, maybe not, but it might be different and it's a new experience. We have so many different flight conditions, and having a different tool flying under a different circumstance can be really a big benefit. Also, here is my other 6-inch, the iFlight Evoke, which I really love to fly. Completely different weight class, but is also a 6-inch, and I like to explore the entire range of 6 inches from very light to quite heavy. It mainly all boils down to cruising speed and what kind of payload the quad can carry. Payload in my mind always splits in two categories which I can influence, and that is the battery and the action camera. I like to keep the weight overall as low as possible, but if allocating weight, I prefer to allocate weight a little bit to the battery size so that I can reach out further in flights and fly longer and have more capabilities in how to get shots. The action camera itself, I really like right now the Action 2, simply because of the very low weight and okay image quality, even though the dynamic range is not the greatest. That is why I'm really excited that GoPro seems to bring back the session concept, having a much lighter action camera which produces great image quality. That's really what we want when building quads, not impacting flight performance too much by the action camera. And I will do tests for both. The upcoming session will come to the channel and I will test fly that. And also videos will come up with different ND filters and configurations for the Action 2, where I'm testing the light performance, especially dynamic range, and how usable it really still is in 2022, using it as an action camera on an FPV quad. So now the build is complete, let's take a look how the weight stacks up to the original Binded Flight. So the original Rekon comes in at 276 grams. And my interpretation with the FPV cycles, which are not lighter, coming in at 253 grams with a beefier GPS and same battery straps. So I don't really know exactly where the weight was shaved off, but the build efficiency in terms of weight seems to be slightly better over the stock Binded Fly. Comparing that to a full-size 6-inch like the iFlight Evoke, which comes in much heavier at over 500 grams, like 541 grams for the Evoke 6-inch, which is playing in a different weight class. It is more robust against winds and gusts, has a higher cruising speed so we can take it further out. And that's a great thing about having a heavier build. But again, in very good flight conditions, in no wind conditions, the Rekon, when not taking it out too far, where we don't need the very high cruising speeds, it can be a very great tool and a better option maybe than a heavier 6-inch. Speaking of heavier 6 inches, Bob 57 will also come to the channel, and I will fly that one back to back to the Evoke and see where the best performance and best build can be found on the heavier range of the spectrum of 6 inches. In the 6-inch category, I like to fly lithium-ion batteries. They're giving me a little bit more battery performance in terms of flight time than lipos, and I don't really need all that kind of C rating to get a lot of power instantly for a short period to boost the engines for maneuvers. And therefore in the maiden flight I'm also choosing a 4S Cosmic Power lithium-ion battery. This pack I got from FPV Cycle, where it is unfortunately sold out right now. So if you want to get one yourself, you might have to shop elsewhere for this. However, there are a lot of great options for battery lithium-ion packs right now, and I think any is fine and performs very similar. Let's do the maiden flight and take the Rekon 6 for a spin. Let's see how it does.
Just gotta run with you till we're falling. Just gotta run with you every night. Just wanna let you know that I'm all in. Just wanna dance with you in the night.
Instantly, I'm very confident how it flies. I don't feel any issues. I have very great RSSI, I have very good LQ. No indication that there's a problem with this build, and the flight behavior itself is really great, and today is a windy day. So I really fly out over the ocean like I usually do. I like to surf the waves, and yeah, there's no indication that there's something wrong here. However, I really looked at those flight videos and footages over and over because, to be honest, I'm losing this quad in the next flight, and this will come up on this channel very soon. And I'm really looking for indications what possibly could have gone wrong. So if you have any ideas when you look at the build and what components went into this Rekon 6, let me know. If you have any guesses when you see how it crashed in the next flight, what was the issue? Because I cannot retrieve it, it's at the bottom of the ocean, and there is no access for a bit deeper diving location, about 4 to 5 meters, where I really cannot get down because of higher waves in that region, and it would be just too dangerous. But because of that, I cannot retrieve. There is a limitation on how I can research and analyze the problems. So I let the videos roll and enjoy the flight. It will be the first and unfortunately also the last one. One thing I like to mention, there are hawks around here, and that is actually my first guess what happened in the crash in the next flight, that probably a bird of prey was kicking me out of the air. It almost feels like that, but there's no confirmation. I don't really know how the quad would behave if it's get a hit on the rear right or left. But anyways, that is for the next video. Enjoy this one here. This part of the flight here is my range program, where I'm flying down the beach about 1.2 kilometer far out to see if there's an issue when I'm getting a bit more far, but there's nothing. LQ is great and RSSI as well, so no indication that there's a link problem. So that is all fine, and might not be one of the candidates for why this quad crashed in the next flight. really remarkable about the Rekon 6 is that it has very thin arms, but it turns really sharp and great without any visible problems in terms of resonances or vibrations or any other problems, because it is a very light frame. What typically a light frame brings with it when the rotors are spooling up and putting stress on the arms, you will get vibrations naturally, but I don't feel it when flying the Rekon 6. It is not really professionally analyzed like Chris Rossa would do it, so I cannot really confirm that it is superior, but I can report how it feels when flying, and that is important for me. So in my use case, how I fly, I don't feel any big compromises. Also, the prop wash for these really huge propellers is very minimal and behaves great. So really good flight performance, and it's really enjoyable to fly. And this concludes our maiden flight day. I cut everything together out of multiple flights on this day. The all-up weight was 603 grams with a very heavy lithium-ion battery, where of course in the flight I was tightening the battery straps a bit better than what I did here when measuring just the weight for this video. As I mentioned, I'm losing this quad in the next flight. So all comments would be really appreciated. What could have been the problem, so that I can avoid that in my next builds, or that I'm aware of it, but I really cannot find anything as of right now. I will link this video right at the end of this one here. Please take a look and let me know in the comments below what you're thinking. As always guys, thanks for watching, have a great rest of the day, stay safe and see you in the next one.